Oh, damn it. I got to switch that one out. Good morning, everybody. How are you? We are into almost the end of January, and Andrea and I had some ideas for today, just based on like how we're feeling and what we've been up to in our business. So today we decided to talk about the value of your time. This is legit. We had a conversation the other day about it. And then, of course, we had to come up with a spreadsheet so that you guys can follow along and calculate for yourselves. So that is the topic today. If we haven't met before, my name is Melinda and this is Andrea, and we run Spreadsheetables, where we teach you guys to create and monetize Google Sheets. So our members are taking the Google Sheets that we offer done for you sheets, and they're taking them into their coaching businesses to help their clients. They're using it to run their businesses. They're selling those as digital products, using them as lead magnets. If you didn't know, Google Sheets is a super high value lead magnet. Done are the days of those like workbooks that are the ultimate of everything. Nobody wants to read a 40-page workbook. So Google Sheets helps you guys really get those leads in with something high value. So that's what we do here. And so today's session is on the value of your time. So we had been talking about this. Andrea and I have run various businesses over the years. We haven't outsourced a whole lot, but we find ourselves now like kind of really struggling with the household tasks and admin tasks and all of those things. And of course, we have hired some things in the past, but we got talking about like, when do people know when they're ready to take that step? I think we've just intuitively known, when we're just like completely overwhelmed and we just can't make all of the things happen, is when we've been jumping on it. So both Andrea and I have had to like reach out for help lately with simple things like around household tasks and that kind of thing. But then also looking at it from the perspective of, is it actually costing you money not to be outsourcing something? So that is a really important topic, because all of us are really busy and we're trying to achieve all of these things as entrepreneurs, but you could be holding yourself back by spending time on tasks that aren't bringing value to your business or to your future growth and all of those things. So this is where that all stemmed from. I think naturally in my head, I do think about these things without actually putting it on a spreadsheet. So for example, if you're looking at, making a purchase online and you're realizing, oh, the shipping is going to cost me $30, but I could drive to the store and it's an hour away. So I think a lot of people would think, oh, like I'm going to save that $30 and make that hour drive and pick it up myself. But if you look at the value of your time and what you could use that hour by putting it into your business to be growing to the next stage, maybe it's $2,000 a month, maybe it's $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month, whatever that is, your time has a value. And if you're doing it, if you're putting that time towards something that's not growing that vision that you have for yourself, then it could really be holding you back. So what's another? I'm trying to think of other examples. Like there's gardening, there's cleaning, there's the administrative tasks in the back end of your business. Quite often entrepreneurs have a real skill set where they shine in their business. And sometimes the admin work isn't one of those. Your skill sets are probably better off spent doing the things you're really good at and then outsourcing to somebody that's really good at those admin tasks. What's another example? I even look at like waiting in line for something. So say there's like, I don't know, a store is giving away a freebie. Like if you wait in line, you'll get like, I don't know, $10 off this purchase to grab this coupon. I myself wouldn't even wait in line, but a lot of people would, because they're like, oh, that's a $10 savings. But I'm like, well, if I have to wait 20, 30 minutes for that, that's not worth my time. That's wasting my time. So I look I often naturally look at those things in saving myself time and avoiding those situations that I'm just like waiting for something that doesn't bring me enough value. So this is where this spreadsheet came into play. We'd love to hear down below if you guys ever think of these concepts. Are you always on the, saving money aspect without realizing that there's value to your time? What are things that you kind of bail on that you're like, okay, I need to outsource this, or it's not worth my time, I'm not doing? We'd love to hear down below, and I will share this spreadsheet that we've put together here. Okay, so this time value calculator. Now, before I dive into this isn't the end all be all. Like if the time calculator says that it's not worth your time, you're not going to do. It's just to help assist with that, to know what your time is worth and how it compares to things that you might want to outsource. But it doesn't capture that like mindset aspect of like you're totally burnt out and you can't do something right now. Even if the numbers are showing, well, you should be doing it yourself. Well, don't follow that. Obviously, you have to follow how you're feeling. If you're completely, your energy's at zero, you're totally gassed, you need somebody to come in and help you right away, then, that's the decision for you for sure. This is just to help guide those decisions if you're unsure, or if you have a few different things that you're looking at outsourcing. So for example, if you're trying to compare, okay, do I have somebody help me in the home to get all the things done, or do I have somebody help me in my business? This helps you kind of analyze those. Okay, so this time value calculator, we were actually going to give this away to you guys later in an email this week. So hopefully you're part of our newsletter. If you want the link, just drop a comment below and we'll make sure we get it over to you guys. So the time value calculator is looking at the value of your time, which is your total income divided by your total hours worked. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. This should be pretty easy to set up. You're just looking at first the time that you invest into work. And what's interesting about this is it's not just the time that you're, say, at your 9-to-5 job. It's also any task related to making that income. So if you're having to drive an hour to work and then an hour home, well, that's another 2 hours that we need to be adding to this. If you're having to drop children off so that you can work or go to work, any professional development, training, networking, all of those things. So you can, in this spreadsheet, we set it up that you're going to do, your time invested and then your income generated. And then it's going to give you your value of your time down to like every 5 minutes. What's your time worth? So you're going to follow along these emojis. So you're going to go step 1, 2, 3, 4, and step 5 is on this projected growth tab that I'll talk about in a minute. This tab is just calculating your current value, where later we'll calculate your projected value of your time. Okay, so you're going to look at all of these things, how much time you spend at work, with side hustles, preparing for work, all of those things. And then the next thing you're going to do is record how many weeks off you have annually. This could be cumulative, like sick, vacation. If you only take a week and a half off, then you can just put 1.5 in there. And this is going to calculate your total hours worked, which is going back into this equation that we mentioned earlier. Next is your income generated. So your job income, side hustle, all other sources, you're going to pop into here. And we're wanting your net income. So what you're going to do is take away your taxes and your expenses. I popped 25% in here. I'm going to delete that because I know everybody else has different things. I think in Canada and the States, we tend to like bank on about 25% as a rough number, but other countries have different values. So you can pop that in. It's not a formula in here. You're just going to type that in. And so that's going to give you your total annual income. And then this is cool. So I'm such a nerd because I love to know these numbers. So what is your value for the week, a work week? So 5 days. What's your value for one day at 10 hours? I put this at 10 hours to accommodate for like that commute time and things. If you're working, you could always go into this and adjust it. So click on here and just change this to like an 8 hour. Say if you work from home and it's legit just 8 hours, you can put that there. Your hourly rate, what's your value for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes? So that example of like waiting in line for like $10 off or $5 off, this is like what naturally comes in my head is like, okay, that's worth $5, but say my time is worth $15 for a half hour wait in line. Well, I'm losing $10 by waiting there in line. So that's how we look at things. 15-minute rate and 5-minute rate. These are interesting to have, these like short term, like knowing those values, because as we go through our days, people can unintentionally rob us from our time. And I guess I shouldn't blame it on somebody else. It's us allowing other people to rob us of our time. So if somebody's, popping into our DMs wanting to, grab something, just a few tips on something, well, that's like 15 minutes of our time or 5 minutes of our time that we could be spending doing something else. Okay, so once we know the value of our time, and that might be lower than we initially thought, right? Because if you're working a regular job, you have that value in your mind that, oh, I make X amount, but we haven't actually accommodated for commute time and all of those things. And so that's why we have a projected growth time value calculator. Because if we based everything on this time value, you might decide not to outsource things based on this. But if we're thinking of a growth mindset that, okay, I know I can like double my income if I'm able to, focus on my business more, then that's where this projected growth time value comes into play. So this one, for the most part, is auto-populated from the first calculator. So it's going to pull in the same hours worked. The reason being is, of course, we can just work more hours and earn more. But I think what we're all trying to do is, earn more with the same amount of hours or less hours. So that's why it's just pulled from that original one. And then you're going to put in your growth multiple. So if you're hoping to double where you're at now, you can put in 2, and then that gives you your annual income. And then, so now we can see how, say, our hourly rate has changed. So it's basically doubled from here. So our hourly rate was $30 an hour, and now it's at $60 an hour. So knowing those numbers, we can go over to this Analyze tab, and this is where we can start entering different tasks that we've been thinking about outsourcing but weren't sure what we should do. So, for example, cleaning the house. Say that takes us 2 hours. This is going to automatically populate. Current value. I think I have to relink these. Just wait, let me look. Anyways, I'll look at that later. It's not pulling properly, but so say it is pulling properly. This is the current value. So if you're working for 2 hours at your $30 value, it's costing you $60 in your time to do that task. And then your projected value, it's costing you $121. So then you're going to put in the cost to outsource this. So say you look into having a cleaning person come and they're going to charge you $100, say, for those 2 hours. Then you can slide over here and have a look at this. So at your current rate, you could look at it as that you're losing $40 because you could do it yourself. Or if you're knowing that, like, okay, those 2 hours I can put into my business, and get greater value over time, then you're plus $20 for that task. So you would go ahead and start doing that for a lot of things. So like after school care, childcare is another one. So say it's 2 hours after school. And I put cost to outsource only $20 here. I think it's pretty low for just like the after school component, but I think things have changed. But the projected value is $100, which is the difference between these, right? So that is something that you're going to want to, once you fill out all of these various activities and have a look here, you're going to start seeing which ones are like the things that you have to outsource immediately, which ones are kind of like lower and you can kind of question, and which ones aren't going to, bring you much value. These cells here, I have a conditional formatting on that I kind of like to use, and it's a color scale. So if you haven't seen this before, usually when you open conditional, but this other tab here with this color scale. And what that does is it's automatically set up to have, going from white to dark green. You can absolutely change all of these colors. I could have set the minimum value as a number and set this to like 0 and then make this go red. But I kind of liked this cleaner look of just all of it green. And yeah, then the darker green is really going to stand out to you as the things that you need to focus on, and then go ahead and select like a priority level for that. So if you want to start outsourcing this, you can put it as critical. This one I'd put as high. These other two, like the $20, that's kind of like a low or normal priority in my mind. But yeah, that is what we've put together so that you guys can really analyze those things that you've been looking at and whether you should outsource it. We will definitely drop this in a email this week because this ties perfectly in with a summit that we're part of. The summit's all about collaborations, and we have a presentation on outsourcing, which ties in exactly with all of this. So setting up your SOPs and your link hub and all of those things. Andrea and I have a couple people that work with us part-time, and like the only way we'd be able to ever make that happen is having spreadsheets to manage it all, because it becomes a lot. Sometimes when people hire on an employee, all of a sudden it's like feels like they should just be doing the work themselves, because it's added this workload onto them of like managing them and assigning tasks and following up and all of those things. But you can actually do a lot of that in spreadsheets to streamline it, make sure you have instructions clear for them. So if they have questions, they can refer to SOPs. We have a lot of like flows, like workflows, I guess, in spreadsheets where they're going in, and when they've completed a task, that task changes to a different stage. And then when we go in, we know, oh, it's at our stage where we need to have some input or do something, or it's at the VA's stage where they need to do something. So that summit runs from the 28th to the 30th. So we have some free stuff there for you guys at that summit. You'll see it in the email, so just watch out for that. We'll post it in the groups as well to give you guys a heads up. But ties in perfectly with this. It's a good time for planning all of this stuff. I feel like January has been kind of like, I don't know, this like weird slump. I think Andrea and I had like this big rush of like, we had a few launches, there was Christmas, it was like crazy busy. And then January comes and then it's like quiet. So it's like this weird time. But it's also like catching up on things and all of that. So it is a good time, especially now that we've kind of gotten over that at the end of January, to be looking at those things. Because earlier in the year, we talked about like looking at your net worth calculator, all of those things. looking at bigger goals, and then this outsourcing ties in with that. Like, where do you want to be this year, and where do you want to be outsourcing things for yourself? So
Yeah, I'm actually very excited to use that spreadsheet that you created because outsourcing, especially at home, at business, like at least in my mind, like my brain is weird. So I'm like, when it comes to business, it's great. Like, we'll outsource everything. I'm all for outsourcing, right? Let's outsource the mock-ups. Let's outsource, the admin, the back end tasks. Let's outsource everything. But at home, I don't know. I feel like it comes with the whole, and maybe that's just me. It comes with the whole like me. Like, I feel like I do everything in my household, and I don't know. Everything is on me. And then from the time I started being a mom, my husband was always like, he's very much his mindset is completely different, right? He is like I'm gonna trade my time for money. I'm gonna do a lot of overtime. He's very labor intensive kind of person, and he believes in saving money and doing all that stuff. Like, he's a very attached, right, to his money. So, and then that mindset he kind of like installed it in me. So it was really hard for me to like pay somebody to come clean my house, right? But then now, with the business, with the baby, with the kids in school, and then the sports, and then it's like I've come to a point where I had like, especially this month, it's been the worst, a terrible, terrible burnout that I don't know where it came from. Maybe like it was this whole 10, 11 years of doing it all myself, right? And then I finally like changed my mindset and was like, listen, Andrea, I had to talk to myself, like, listen, Andrea, if you don't outsource your house cleaning, you're gonna be stuck. Because one, I hate doing housework, like that's me. And then I just like procrastinate, and everything, like my dishes is just like building up in the sink, right? So it will grow legs and start walking eventually. So then, to me, it's like, I don't want to do it, but I didn't want to pay somebody to come and do it, right? Because like, I'm not gonna waste that much money. It's like, in my head I was like, it's dishes. I can do dishes, right? Everybody can do dishes. But the dishes were there in the sink. It just sat there for like days, and I didn't do it. And the more the dishes were building up in the sink, the more it was cluttering in my brain, and the less I could focus on my work. Right? It's like it's a whole snowball of like, at least my brain's weird, but it was a mess. Like, the messier my house is, the messier my brain is. I can't focus on my work, therefore I don't make any more money, right? So then I actually hired somebody to come clean just the dishes. I paid somebody yesterday to come and do my dishes. She was here for like an hour, an hour and 15 minutes. It wasn't even that much. Like, she cleaned the whole counters and everything, like my stove, and was like a little over an hour, and I paid a lot of money for that hour. But it would have took me probably a whole lot more hours, right? And the hour that she was here, when she was done, it was just like a huge weight lifted off my shoulder, right? I felt like instantly that black cloud that was in my head, just like, it's gone. My dishes were clean. My sink was empty. I could finally like sit and like make breakfast to my kids without worrying like I don't have any forks more available. So, anyways, it's all about mindset. And that now, like, I feel a lot more focused. Like, my brain feels a lot more clear. There's a lot more focus that I can see and do, the things that I have to do for the business. So it's it's really like, for me, it wasn't really about the time because it was 1 hour, right? So if I added like the value of my that 1 hour, maybe probably wouldn't even be worth it to hire that lady. But then if you think about the whole cloud that was in my brain, it wasn't 1 hour really, right? It was taking me like hours or days, right, to complete that one task because my brain wasn't just functioning that way. I don't know. But yeah, so it's really mindset too. You have to understand that some things, if it's taking you that long to do one task, And it's not something that, for example, it's not alive. Like we're here, we're alive. This is something that only us can do, right? If it's not something that only you can do, like, taking care of my kids, or, I don't know, have any other examples right now, but something that it doesn't take yourself, like doing the dishes. It doesn't have to be me, right? It could be anybody. So just go ahead and outsource it. I'm telling you, it's now, and now I'm like, I want to outsource everything. Like I want to find somebody to do my laundry. I want to find somebody to clean my bathrooms. Like I'm splitting the house, like, because like I don't mind vacuuming. I don't mind, mopping the floor. I don't mind doing any of that. It's the dishes. There's something, a block in my brain that that stops me from grabbing that thing, and then, I don't know. It's weird, but there are some things that I don't mind doing, and there are some things that I just absolutely cannot do. It just takes me that long to do the task. So I might add the dishes, instead of 1 hour, I might add like 20 hours in that spreadsheet. So, anyways, that's that. I was right. Can't wait to use it.
I think you bring up a good point. As I was filling out the sample spreadsheet, and thinking about like, okay, how long does it take to clean the house? And I was thinking in my head that I might assign a certain amount of time to clean the house, but it's actually longer than what the cleaning person would do, because they come in, they're focused, they're being paid, they got to get in, get out. Where like when you do it yourself, I feel like it drags on, because you get interrupted by phone calls and business things, and then the kids, and then all of a sudden there's all this like unproductive work that's been done.
Yes.
And you haven't gotten any of it done, right? Like, so I was.
And you're cleaning, and then you remember, like, oh, I have to organize this part over here, and then I have to organize this one right here before I continue, before I move on, and it just adds up to the time. It really takes weeks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because like realistically, I think I was thinking, okay, the cleaning person is like an hour and a half for like one level of the house. But I ended up putting 2 in the thing, thinking like, okay, I definitely take longer than I should probably put even more than 2. It should be like 3, but anyways.
Yeah, no, it's like the dishes, I have the baby. So like this week I paid attention, because I was like, okay, I was trying to understand, like, why can I not focus right on the dishes? Just 1 hour, stay there for 1 hour, just clear everything. It wasn't even that much. It was like pots and pans and stuff like that. So then I'm like, okay, why can't? So I started being like very intentionally thinking, like every time I was like, I'm gonna sit over here, like I'm gonna stand right in front of the dishes, I'm gonna wash them. So intentionally, I was like, okay, let me identify what is stopping me. So like I think I watched like, I don't know, 3 forks, and then the baby was like pulling in my pants, and like wah, wah, wah. And then because his nap time, he naps like twice per day right now, almost like once. He's transitioning. It's a mess. But that hour I have to work, right? It's my only uninterrupted hour in my day, right? Because I'm with him 24/7. So when he naps, I drop everything and run to the computer. That's my work time, right? It's like sacred. And everything else in the house I have to do when he's awake. And then, of course, like with the dishes, I was washing the dishes, and the floor was getting wet, and then he slipped and smacked his head, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. 3 forks, hooray! Let's try this again next time. So,
and maybe getting into the dog food.
oh my gosh, no, he's like, it's his main food now, the dog food. Yeah. And the water. Dylan my older son, he calls it swish. It's like always going swishing in the water, because he goes to the water, go like this. So then there's more mess for me to clean, right? It's just like it's a lot of things that interrupt you that you don't realize. And like when the cleaning lady came here, it took her an hour and 15 minutes, let's say. And it was like, in my husband's eye, he would be like, it's an hour and 15 minutes. Why can't you take an hour and 15 minutes of your day to do this? I was like, because to me, it doesn't take an hour and 15 minutes, take 20 hours. So no, thank you. But you're welcome to do it if you want to. He doesn't either. So I'm going to pay somebody. And you really have to learn to let go of it's really mindset. at this point, and it's like business too, business is your baby, and you don't trust a lot of people, right, with your baby. So this is why we created SOPs, because then the SOP is when somebody comes into your business and you want to outsource that task, you have exactly the way, step by step, that you treat your baby, right? The way that you feed your baby, the way that you change your baby, the way that you bathe your baby. So this person can come in and act like you, right? And then they do this whole thing. Like, I wouldn't create SOP for my cleaning lady, but for the business, it's important that somebody does the same way that you do. Um, you know, just so it's standardized and it's not like all over the place.
Yep. Awesome. And I think too, your example is also a perfect example of why, like, the spreadsheet is there and the calculator is there to help guide you.
Mhm.
But also, if it's showing that it doesn't bring value of hiring somebody out, but you're completely like overwhelmed, burnt out, can't, like, Andrea, like, waved the white flag and had somebody come in and help, even just like a short term or a one off, just to like help
Yeah.
you buy. So that's like our disclaimer of like, the spreadsheet isn't the end all be all. It's like part of your mindset too, is like, if you're just completely run down and you can't do anything else and you need that, yeah,
Yep.
just you'll have to trust your instincts, but then also use the spreadsheet if you need help with the decision making process. So I
Yeah.
think when you're like drowning and you just need, need somebody. You don't need a spreadsheet to tell you that you're drowning at that point, but it is good to analyze all of the different things and take this year to really think about where your time is spent and what your value is,
Yeah.
and where you want your value to be. So yeah.
And I love the growth part too, because to me, everything that I do, at least in my house, like, I'm like, okay, am I going to pay, $150 for somebody to clean my house for 2 hours, or would I do it myself and save $150? Again, because it's not going to be in 2 hours, it's going to be in 20. Can I do it? Yes, I can do it. But then, thinking in the future, I'm like, well, if I do create a product, right, or a course, or in those 2 hours that she's going to be here, which is possible, right? Or if I list something on Etsy, or if I list something in my store, if I create a funnel, right, a lead magnet with a funnel to bring people to my world, to bring people to the membership,
Mm-hmm.
um, that $150 for those 2 hours can turn into thousands, because we're working with a digital product, right? It's something that you put the work once, and then it compounds and you keep selling, and like, there's nothing else. So once you set up your systems, there's nothing else that you need to do. So then that $150 that you wasted can now become, right, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, right, lifetime in your.
Mm-hmm.
So think about to the future. um you know that growth part, like, how much do you want to grow? How much time do you only have? 24 hours in a day. So there's not there's no way around it, but there's ways to work smarter, to make sure that you are growing too, because it's not just what you're doing right now, it's where you want to be in the future. That's important.
Yeah, I really like that part too, because I guess the average person entering almost anything would show that it's not worth having somebody come in. So
Yeah.
having that other calculator of, okay, I want to be growing, so here's what it looks like, I think helps change that mindset. So
Yeah, that's something that my husband used to mock me, before we grew the business, because I would sit here and I would work for like hours, right? 24 hour, working at night, working, middle of the night, and he'd be like, "Oh, wow, you're working. Congratulations, you're making 1 penny per hour." And it's true. In the beginning, you are working 1 penny per hour, but now we make money without doing anything, literally. So he's like, sometimes I will show him, like, when we get, when we sell stuff or when we have payments coming in. I was like, here's my $1,000 a day. How much money did you do today in, working? I made this $1,000 sleeping. How much did you make working your butt off? So it's real. Like, it's not the right now. You might want to project, where do you
Mhm.
want to be and what do you want to be doing, which is why we're building, this business, to eventually become passive, right? And it's not the beginning, it's not the value is not there in the beginning. You're going to be making, $1 per hour, and it's terrible. If that, right, sometimes we're not even making anything, we're not even selling while we're building. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just think where you want to be, and then think, like, start thinking about, like, this is one thing that I started doing too. I'm living my life as if I was where I want to be. Does that make sense? Like, I'm living in the future. So yeah, I'm hiring somebody as if I'm rich, which I'm not. But then I'm building, right, something to eventually be living that life. And then I don't know, it's all about like mindset and what's it called? Manifesting, right? Manifest your life and things like that. So just think about the future and where you want to be, and then act like it. And then you're gonna get there. Definitely. Think about us. We were doing a penny per hour. Now we're not. Now we make lots of money sleeping.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
All right.
That was a good one. So watch out for the email on the summit, this spreadsheet, and all sorts of other good stuff. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.